Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I am your host, Scott, and with me is always the wonderful Seska. How are you doing today, Seska?
Mostly liquid on account of the sun being a deadly laser.
Oh, yes, that's not good.
Yeah, today's podcast coming to you in puddle form. It is a podcast, if you will. But yeah, it was 37 degrees here yesterday. I think I'm bad at Fahrenheit, but I think that's about 102 Fahrenheit. It's at high 90s, low hundreds. So, yeah. And of course, I can't have the fan running while we're recording. So, these are the sacrifices we make for our craft.
Yes.
How about yourself?
Yeah, good. I mean, we've currently got the kind of the opposite. We're cold at the moment, although we just we climatize and we just every Australian, they just rug up. They just put every jumper on and rug up of all of the blankets.
I cannot fathom such notions at the moment, but I'm glad you at least have means of coping.
Yes. Yeah, it has been a little bit wet. The rain's just been on and off, which has been annoying. But we will persevere.
Yeah, around here it's been very humid, and combined with the heat, it means that if you go from an air-conditioned building to the outside, temperature roughly doubles, and it feels like you're walking into a soup. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. At least in this country, nearly every place is it's got air conditioning. Like even the supermarkets, the shops, every building.
Yeah. Whereas I live in a country that barely has any air conditioning, and because of that, there's now a sudden demand, and it means there's waiting lists to get air conditioner units, and I think they're up to 2-month long waiting lists now.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I am feeling for you. I am sending all the cold vibes to you.
I have ingested so many popsicles in the last few days, desperately trying to, if I can't do external cooling, I'll do internal cooling.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. Well, I'll remind everyone that we do have a Patreon patreon.com/GamePodular. You can throw us a couple of dollary dues. Do make sure you to take care of yourself. You can also throw us a couple of dollary dues at kofi.com/GamePodular. I'll remind everyone we also do have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GamePodular. And all of our previous highlights, you can watch our previous recordings at youtube.com/@GamePodular. If you just want to see the highlights, you can do that at youtube.com/@GamePodular stream highlights. Also, I'll remind everyone also to get into the lively Discord community. All information can be found at our wonderful website, GamePodular.com. All right, let's get into what we've been playing for this current month. Okay, so growing up, I've probably told you this a million times, very much grow up with the NES and Super Nintendo. However, when it comes to I don't know what generation it was, but in the generation next, our family went with the PlayStation rather than the Nintendo 64.
Same, actually, yeah. I've never I've very occasionally played one for an hour at a friend's house, but my household was a PlayStation household, not a N64 household.
Yeah, I mean, we did. I do remember we actually rented a Nintendo 64 before we bought the PlayStation. One of those days where we used to go. I don't think it was Blockbuster back then, but one of the Australian video stores, you used to rent a console. It came in this hard, not silver case, silver briefcase, and you'd open it up and the console was glued into it.
Oh, I do remember those. Yeah.
Yep. Obviously, the game we got the rent was Super Mario 64 and Bomberman 64. Funnily enough, but in that instance, there, like you had play around, like you go over a friend's place and they would have they had Mario Kart 64 and Smash Brothers.
GoldenEye. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. How can I forget GoldenEye? Goodness. But one that I never really played back in the day was Star Fox 64.
Mm.
I was just no one I just never really got into. I'd known what okay. Actually, it was actually called Lilac Wars. Back where I was and presumably you were.
Yep. Correct.
Yep. Yeah. In the original one, the Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, that was called Star Wing.
Oh, right. That's yeah. Yeah. Like
There was a yeah.
I mainly remember this from being very confused back when I played Super Smash Brothers. Like looking at the trophies, it would tell you like which game the trophy originally came from.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody at Nintendo went to the very laborious effort of making sure the European version of Smash Brothers had all the European titles of the original games. So like it wouldn't say, oh, Fox is from Star Fox. It'd say, no, he's from Starwing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good, meticulous. But yeah, so I never really played those growing up. Actually, the first game in the European market that actually ended up using the Star Fox name was Star Fox's Adventures for the GameCube.
A game that I have a troubled history with, let's say.
Oh, oh, a
Like,
story for another day. Yeah.
yeah, like if we ever do like a quiz episode, let's just say that
Mhm.
if I lose, my punishment will be I have to play Fox Adventures again. Because fun fact, that was the last game I ever played on the game, or last game I ever finished on the GameCube. Because I wanted like it everything else I wanted to finish more because I've almost never played a game that I wanted to finish less. But again, story for another day. Story for another day.
Fun fact, that was the first Star Fox game I played and completed.
Mm-hmm.
But no, to get into this, I've actually been playing the recent, only a couple of days of recent adventuring Star Fox for the Nintendo Switch 2. This has only been released
Not to be confused with Star Fox 2 for the Nintendo Switch.
yes. Oh goodness, yeah. Oh, that's the one I'm gonna play. So this has been developed by VLAN. Is it VLAN Studios or Velen? They initially did previous ones. They did they did the Mario Kart Live Home Circuit.
Right.
So the one with the actual like Mario figurine
Mhm.
and Knockout City.
Oh yeah, Knockout City. I haven't thought about that game in a while. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is my first proper outing into it. So not really like having a vague idea what the game was about, but never really delving into it back previous ones. Wow. This is fantastic. I've the visual style, this is the thing I just gotta say. Like going from I would say probably going from the Nintendo 64 to this, like going from the Nintendo 64 to a Switch 2, which is sort of like a PlayStation 4-esque graphical style.
Mm-hmm.
Just incredible. It plays really well. It is pretty much a remake of the original. So you've still got the same. The way it works is that it is a very short game by today's standards, but the idea is that you could go through multiple playthroughs. So you go through a planet, you defeat the boss, you go to the next planet, and then there may be an instance where you could possibly change up where you've got to go. So there's one in the very first level. Spoilers. Look, this is back in spoilers for the Nintendo 64 game. There's a thing where Fox McCloud. Not Fox McCloud.
James McCloud.
What's the? James McCloud. That's the father. Yep. What's the bird guy's name?
Falco.
Oh my god. So Falco just suggested you want to do a bit of a training exercise and slip through some thread the needle through some holes in the water in the rock formation. Once you do those, he'll then you're pretty good. Let's actually go ahead under this waterfall and let's go, because I just see this other guy just going around, and that's how to develop sort of splits the track. And so with that, you sort of track your progress into that, and you go through multiple planets, and the idea is that you're not going to get every one of them on your first playthrough. It sort of encourage you to repeat. New to this, this will actually go through and actually give a cutscene when you're talking to the teams, talking to General Pepper. And it's interesting when you've got a case where you'll have situations where you've completed the mission, but you failed the mission. Like, say, there's one where your main ship is getting attacked. If you don't fend off the missiles that come to it in time, you'll still complete it, but you'll fail the mission. So you have to have repairs on that, and you're only locked to a certain path. But if you do success with that and save it, then the game will actually when the character's discussing it, they'll go, okay, General Pepper will discuss, okay, you should go to this planet to help this one, and then like Peppy or Slippy will suggest, oh, actually, I think we should go this one. So it actually gives you a little bit of more of a choice. Explains on that, so you can go ahead and choose that. It's a nice touch. Very cheesy dialogue.
But that's part of the charm, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So I did I sort of did the standard playthrough first. And with this game, because there's actually I'm not sure about the original Nintendo 64 one, but I know in this one there's your standard ending, and then there's a true ending. So I did the standing ending first. So beating Andros at the end. Then I heard about the actual true ending and sort of go work through that. And then I sort of go, all right, I'm going to go through the first level and sort of track my path, and then sort of try and make sure I can do the missions correctly. And one thing with this game, in the original Nintendo 64 one, you could replay a mission, but that would cost you a life. In this remake, it doesn't, so you're free to sort of, if I've stuffed that up, if I haven't done that correctly, I can go ahead and replay it, and there's sort of no penalty.
That's such a nice quality of life improvement. Thank you, Nintendo.
Yeah, and the very first playthrough I did didn't need any continues. So I felt pretty chuffed about myself. But oh boy, the next one, when I sort of got towards the end, it got tough. Maneuvering ship, I still wasn't quite used to it. Just try and get the handle of it, flying it around, and sort of using the D-pad up or down to sort of either do a loop-de-loop, or do, if you're all-terrain mode, do a go up and then turn around. And then towards the end, you get into the dogfight with the Star Wolf team. And that could be pretty tricky. I ended up having to use the continue for that one. So that was more towards the end. And let me tell you, like this, like when you get up to the final boss, because it's the first time I've sort of been playing this, just making sure I don't end up losing, because I only about like one life left. And so gotta say, I was literally at the edge of my seat
Yeah, like
trying to spam, trying to spam the laser button and dodging everything. So
locked in, as the kids say these days.
yes. Oh, the heart was pumping. The heart was pumping, but I got through it. I only had one. I used one continue when you lose all your lives.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did it. I felt pretty proud. But in this game, like you do get medals for each planet, and the idea with the medals is that you're supposed to be able to get a certain high score, like the amount of hits per planet, and have all three of your shipmates like not have to go back to the dock. I don't know how people manage that, like in the Nintendo 64 or the actual in this remake, because let me tell you, they are useless.
Big pardon?
They I like for all the talk they have, like the most of the time I was just hitting them, and in a dogfight, I am the only one who's actually attacking the enemies. Most of the time, they're just getting hit and just going, hey, "Help me, Fox! Can you get this ship out of my way?"
Leon,
like,
help!
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I much rather have Ashley. She was actually useful in some instances.
Like, I guess they're worried about the he's kill stealing from the player, but it'd be nice if they were slightly helpful.
Yeah, like you just can't rely on them. And so I don't know how I'm going to go. One thing with this game now is that you actually do have challenges. So once you actually sort of complete a planet, there's a challenge section. You can redo that, and so a lot of replayability in this. Like the first mission, you sort of it's got certain targets you got to get. You got to attack all the actual all the robots that throw like steel beams at you. You got to attack all the ones that are skiing on the water. You have to do the mission in 3 minutes, which is very tight. Like I am spamming the boost button with that.
Mm-hmm.
I've managed to get every one of those achievements. I've only done the first level. I've managed to get every one of those sort of achievements except for the last one where I'm trying to attack the boss. I have to hit all the weak points, like destroy all the weak points. The problem is that the boss is so weak that if I attack all the weak points, I end up killing the boss before I've destroyed all the weak points. So
yeah.
I've got to figure out how to actually sort of control my shots.
Yeah, I've run into similar problems playing Monster Hunter with Hyuka sometimes, where every once in a blue moon you would get like a mission late in the game to do some, like, say, capturing a very weak low level monster, and we would be entirely too overpowered for it, and we would very consistently kill the monsters instead of capturing them. So we'd have to make fresh equipment that was bottom of the upgrade tree just so we were bad enough that we could do the mission.
That's a perfect example. Yes. Oh my goodness. No, I have really had a fun play with this. I've beaten it, but I'm going to go through and unlock all the planets. I will also mention you do have a game chat function where if you have a camera, you can be in VTuber mode.
As in, like, does it give you like a fake background that looks like an R-Wing?
Yeah. So what it is that in the original game, you'll have the characters' heads like when they're talking.
Right.
You can actually use that model. Like you could be Fox or Slippy or Peppy Hair, and you can control them with your face. And the idea is that when you're actually using the game chat function on the Switch 2, rather than actually have your face on the camera, you can just impose it with their face.
I foresee shenanigans in the future, but I do delight in this actually being an included feature. That's really cool of them, honestly.
Yeah. And there's also ones where you can be the full character, or you can have certain aspects, like you can have Fox McCloud's ears on your head, or General Pepper's hat or an eye patch. So it's all fun. It's all fun. So I've had a blast with this. I ended up going through and actually completing Star Fox 64 and get what all the hype was. And then I actually ended up doing the Super Nintendo one, which, yeah, that's a bit rough.
Just a smidge. Although it's been a long time since I played it myself, but if you want the real dark horse recommendation for this franchise, look up Star Fox Assault. It was the other one they made for the GameCube after Adventures, and this one was actually by Nintendo instead of Rare. I have very fond memories of playing that at friends' houses, because like it was very smooth, very vehicle centric, like sort of as it was an overreaction to Star Fox Adventures in that sense. But the hot take, I don't think Adventures is very good, so I think overreacting to that is a good idea. And yeah, like I don't know that it's had any re-releases since the original GameCube version, so it might be a little hard to find, but
yeah,
if you can get it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, fingers crossed they put it on Nintendo Switch Online.
I'm not sure they've done it yet, but fingers crossed. It also significantly expanded the Star Wolf team, because like this is after Crystal joined the Star Fox crew, so they were like, oh, we need to bulk up Star Wolf, so we get some fun new ones. Like I distinctly remember a very handsome panther, like who was sort of who was sort of like trying to steal Crystal away from Fox. It's fun. Star Fox Assault is a good time if you can find it.
Yes, definitely. All right, so going for the adventures of the Star Fox team to something somewhere within the realm, but probably a bit more violent. You've been playing some Helldivers 2. How's that gone for you?
It's gone very well, and this sort of is a direct continuation of last episode for me in some sense, because you recall last time we talked about the Halo series a little bit.
Yep.
And there was one game I hadn't done yet, which was Halo 4. This is not going to be about Halo 4, but in a sentence, wow, I didn't like it. That was bad. And in the aftermath, I was thinking to myself, okay, where did it go wrong? Where did it go right? Okay, where it was right was Halo 2. That's where I hit that sweet spot. So I need a game that begins with H and ends with 2. And then somebody asked me if I want to play Helldivers 2, and I'm like, yes, I'm so down for that. And better yet still, this started life as a Halo game. The developers because the developers originally made this as essentially a continuation of Halo ODST. The entire idea of dropping in from orbit was taken pretty much directly from ODST, and they made the prototype, showed it to Microsoft, and Microsoft said no, because they are very good at business decisions. But then the developers were like, yeah, but we actually think we have a good game here, so we're just gonna like scrub off the Halo bits and just make it our own thing. Technically, it's a sequel to the first Helldivers, which I hear was a fun game, but I promise you don't need to have played it in order to enjoy this. Helldivers 2 is mechanically speaking, it's a third person. You can play in first person, but mechanically it's mostly meant to be a third person shooter, ideally in co-op. You can't do it single player against it's an extraction shooter, basically, where you're trying to achieve particular objectives while fighting off hordes of either bugs, robots, or squid alien zombie things. And it is also, I'm kind of glad ultimately in some ways that this ended up not being a Halo game, because the flavor they arrived at instead is a lot of fun. It is deeply satirical and kind of doesn't hold back, because we're not playing as the goodies. We are the baddies.
Yeah.
Everybody else is trying to kill us, but everybody else is our fault. Like, we released the bugs, we made the robots, and we purposefully upset the aliens. we're responsible for everything that's wrong, and also facet we're like a fascist dictatorship,
Yep.
but we're just pretending it isn't under the guise of managed democracy.
So Starship Troopers, essentially.
Yes, Starship Troopers is a big, big influence on this.
Mm.
And what I appreciate is it not only is it sort of, not so subtly taking the piss out of, shall we say, various governments and their policies, with just that whole setup and framework. They get specific on this because there's things like, say, weekly objectives where everybody sort of has to, pitch in a little bit towards something, and if we all do it, then we get rewards at the end. Yeah, at time of recording 2 weeks ago, there was one about the enemy having suddenly and entirely unpredictably cut off a vital resource that needs to be reacquired immediately due to increased prices on the home front.
Oh.
It like it's made by Swedish developers who are clearly more than willing to take jabs at mostly America. Let's be honest, it's mostly
Yep.
American policy, and rightly so, deservedly so. It's a fun flavor because they very much commit to the bit in very funny ways. Like, you'll read item descriptions for things just like a cape, which is a purely cosmetic item that does not affect gameplay in any way. So, you'll pick one purely for the aesthetics, but why would you ever read the description? Because the description includes things like, each cape is sung to by a choir of school children before it is issued to a serviceman. And I'm just like, that is pitch perfect totalitarian dystopia right there. Lovely.
Yeah.
As for the actual gameplay, I really like it. It's on like what I like about things like Helldivers or say Deep Rock Galactic is the balance struck between just killing the enemies and the actual objectives that you have to do. And I like how Helldivers sprinkles in a lot of optional sub objectives that are like it's not an either or, it's not a Schrodinger's box. It is like each one of those simultaneously is both a tempting reward with tangible benefits and a trap. Like, because each one takes time, and the deeper each mission has a time limit, and the deeper you get into it and closer to that time limit, the harder it is going to get. So even if you feel confident that you can do the sub-objective, it's like, okay, but can you do the main objective after that and reach the extraction point and survive what we're going to throw at you in between now and extraction, which is a real delicate balancing act. And the nice thing is, if you don't want to have to like weigh the pros and cons, if you don't want to have to make that tactical assessment, you don't have to, because this is a very fun game to die in. Like, missions can be completed without successfully extracting. Extraction is never a requirement for success. As long as you do the thing you came for, it technically counts.
Yep.
So, if you kind of just want to be silly and call down an orbital artillery barrage, whose, like, spread pattern is roughly the size of Nebraska, so you're going to get every single one of your team members, you can do that. It's fine. It's like, there's honestly very few real consequences. Unless you are particularly invested in getting a very particular thing done in a mission, like, say, getting a particular resource for an upgrade. So it's a game that, like, it rewards people who play hard and carefully to get what they want, and it does not really punish people who are there for a good, silly, wacky time. And there is a lot about the weapons and equipment that is a good, silly, wacky time. Again, going back to the weekly objectives, there was one about 3 weeks ago where, due to the aforementioned chronic resource shortage, we didn't really have a means to deal with big flying enemies. Like, all of our big guns are kind of out of commission on that. So we're issuing everybody a jetpack and a sledgehammer with a bomb on it strapped to the end. So just jump up there and hit him in flight. Good luck. And then people actually did it so hard that the devs were like, okay, you get those like free for a week, just like because you so pleasantly surprised us. Uh, I like just how dynamic and like alive this game feels right now. I suspect there's a little bit of an influx of new players due to the recent announcements of Destiny winding down, but
Yep.
already it had a very vibrant community going on. And I will say right now, you can play the single player, and it is fun single player. It is significantly better and more fun with other people. Not only does that make it so you can take on harder missions, but it's also you get to share in the chaos and you get to show each other cool nifty things that the other one hasn't seen before because there is a genuinely staggering number of items and weapons to choose from. And delightfully, the basic ones that the game gives you right from the start are among the best. I'm not even kidding when I say that. Like, in terms of just the pure numbers efficiency, the basic bread and butter stuff you get given in the first couple hours is among the most effective stuff in the game. So you're never really incentivized to go after the what are called war bonds. Those would
Yep.
be like uh, DLC or like weapon packs, except you can just also earn the currency for those by playing the game, and I have,
Okay.
and it's at a actually pretty decent, rewarding pace. Like there are two packs that are a little pricier than the others because they are crossovers with other series.
Hmm.
One of them is Killzone, and I actually think they very recently announced another one with Warhammer. But this is where I reveal my trap card. It's actually a Halo game after all, because they also did a crossover with Halo ODST.
Ah.
Yeah, called Obedient Democracy Shock Troopers. So yeah, those two are slightly more expensive than the others, but uh outside of that, it's very doable to just get these war bonds as you play because each war bond also just includes as part of the things you get more of the currency you need to buy the next one. So it's actually very generous. I have heard like I have heard claims that the devs did their best to like minimize the appeal of actually spending money. I can't find a statement by the devs to back that up, but uh the story goes Sony told them you need to implement some sort of like monetization after purchase,
Mhm.
and they were like, I guess we'll give players the option to pay money, but we really don't want them to feel like they have to. And I gotta say, in my own experience, I don't feel like I have to. What's there is a lot. If I want more, I am given the means to get more at a reasonable pace. And
Mhm.
I've just been having a good time with it. You can also join people's games like mid mission, no problem. You don't need to
Okay.
wait for him to finish their mission first because you can literally just drop in. Also, weirdest reward I've ever given. Look forward to this one at Seskra's End of the Year Game Awards. Best diegetic loading screen I have ever seen, because the loading screen for you loading into a mission is just your pod being launched from your ship and descending to orbit, which is like part of the entire fundamental premise. So of course that is going to be there. Of course it's going to take a sec.
Yeah.
That like even if they found a way to load the entire level right away, I wouldn't want them to. I want that loading screen there because that's just so integral to the experience. And also the like tooltips they give on there fall into exactly two categories: legitimately helpful and genuinely very funny. And I I just love the balance being struck all the time in that sense. Like the upgrade tree, every upgrade in it is genuinely worth it and good and like tells you very clearly in what ways it's going to make things better, and then the
Mhm.
descriptions for them are genuinely so freaking funny so much of the time. Like uh things like increasing the carry capacity for your air support by taking out non-essential systems such as ejector seats and airbags. It, like the whole game just has that tone start to finish. It is like, yes, it's satire, yes, it's poking fun at politics, but it knows how to actually have fun in doing those things, which is, for me at least, an important part of it.
Mm.
And yeah, as the actual gameplay, it's smooth, it's clear. There are weapons that are incredibly satisfying to get. I know I'm not the first person to say this, but Helldivers 2 is a good time. Big shocker. And yeah, I look forward to seeing where they go with this. By all accounts, the game is doing very well at the moment in terms of like sales and player base and all of that.
Mhm.
And they keep doing more of these crossovers like the Warhammer one that got announced. I I'm very happy for these devs. I would still not say no to getting like the ODST game they originally wanted this to be, but yeah, the thing it grew into instead is delightful, and I'm very glad I started playing it.
Ah, very nice. So for the next game I've been playing, this was I think during the beginning of the month, and it was Mina the Hollower. It's a very contentious game. Yeah. I actually ended up. The plan was I was going to buy it day one because I want to support Yacht Games because of the struggles been going through. But I was going to buy it with the intention that I wasn't going to touch it for a while because I have too many other games. Like I've got like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth still to do because I got that
Mm-hmm.
for Switch too. But I just went, you know what? I'm just gonna play a bit of it. I'm just gonna have a little bit of it, see how it is, and it's one of those games I spent like upwards of like up to midnight playing through.
And have you been having how's it been treating you all the way up to midnight?
It's been treating me good. This is clearly this is inspired by the likes of sort of a Game Boy Color version of like the original Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. One of my absolute favorite Link Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is if you played the original Link's Awakening, this is pretty much if you this is pretty much if you sorry if you're playing the game with the Rock's Feather at the beginning,
Right.
which is the
Yeah.
yeah, because that's a jumping ability in
Mm-hmm.
that game because that was the very first for that. That was very handy. So you play as Mina. She's a skilled inventor and a hollower. And the idea is that she travels back to the island to discover why her sparks, just sort of like electricity generators, have been have gone out. The game starts off. You're on a ship. It'll tell you to sort of as soon as you speak to the first person, wham! A big monster just comes at it right and attacks you. The game will tell you you select one of the three weapons. So weapons, you get a sort of two daggers, you get a big hammer, or you get a whip and mace. Which is what I started because it's sort of a weaker attack, but it gives a longer distance. The first boss you go through, it'll naturally kick you, take you down, and then you start the game anew. Interesting, the game play of this. Your means of going around is you burrow through. So the idea is that you sort of hold as as your jump button. So you burrow through it and then jump up. You can just jump normally, but if you've got like, you can jump like over like one square space, but if you need to do like over like 2 square spaces, you actually burrow through and just get that momentum up. A little bit tricky to get your head around, but I found I got used to it. This game's been compared to sort of a Soulsborne because the way you upgrade yourself and get sort of new things is that you got what's called a bone system. The idea is that every time you attack an enemy or you attack any sort of thing like whips, so not whips, like lamps and candles, you get bones. You can spend those bones on yourself. Like when you get a certain amount, you get like upgrade your attack or your health. But you can also spend them at shops. The thing is, with these bones, is that if you die, you lose your bones. Now, with this game, you do have what's called spheres, and you hold on to the spheres, and then the idea is that once you die, you lose your sphere, and you go back to the original burrow point, which is sort of like your save point, and once you go ahead and like defeat the enemy that kills you, you get that sphere back. So that's sort of like the hollow system, like in Dark Souls.
Right. Yeah.
With this game, you can upgrade it so you can get multiple spheres. Mm-hmm. So you do have quite a few amount of times to actually die before it's kaput. And you've also got ability where you can actually, if you don't want to upgrade your health or your attack at that time, you can create sort of like a bone diamond, and that allows you to have a permanent. So even if you do die,
yeah, that's sort of like the beads in Hollow Knight Silksong.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because those are also like they work on the thing of like you lose them if you die, but you can get them back, or you can string them together into like a bead string, and that's just now an item in your inventory that you get to keep.
Yeah. It's with these you do actually have, because the first time you do create a diamond, it's small, but every time you do it, you got to have more and more diamonds to like it'll still create a diamond worth that, but the point to actually where you can sort of bulk it together gets higher and higher. So you can do that and sort of incentivizes you. I do know from hearing from people that it is a very challenging game when you first play it. Like you can still get around, but you're sort of trying to explore, and you know that everything can kill you. I wouldn't say it's difficult. Like you can sort of do maneuver around, so you can get used to that. But once you actually start getting into the game and start playing it and gritting your teeth into it, it does become easier because you actually upgrade your attack, obviously your attack and health, but you can also get what these called trinkets, and these trinkets will actually have certain perks that you get. So you get stuff like you get one that's like it's just like you can have like about up to like 5 trinket on you. You have to upgrade the trinket, the amount of trinkets you can have on you at the one time. You have one like you can you'll get one where you get a plasma jug where defeating enemies grants bonus plasma. The healing system in this game is that you've got vials. The idea is that you fill up these vials. You get you start with like 4 vials, and then once you get so you can build up plasma, and then once you use the vial, it'll take that plasma and then heal you. So the idea is that you got to build up your plasma, but you only got to man a certain amount to actually a certain amount of vials before you actually have to go back to a point to actually refill it. It's like the Estus flask in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Essentially. But you also got stuff like you'll get ones where you can actually burrow through the wall. The ones where you can actually you can sort of like double like a jump that goes like a sort of a double jump that goes higher and lets you float for a little bit. So you got all these crazy abilities. Like those ones like you can launch missiles when you use a vial. Yeah, so it's really good. You actually get two. You can actually change your weapons. Or you actually got to collect it once you select your first weapon. You got to actually collect the other weapons during your playthrough. And there's actually two more weapons. You get like a shield and sort of like a like electric gun. Sorry, a battery gun. So you sort of use your melee attacks to sort of pounce on that, and then that builds up your charge to actually shoot shots.
Nice.
Yeah. It's very much a there's no real direction about where you're meant to go. So you can go anywhere you go. Like Hilka was telling me before that he went through the swamps, which is sort of the actual I would say probably about the second place you should be going, because that's what I did. Right. I know they had a tough time with that. There's you got various boss battles. You get ones where that's when they put all your skills to test. They're not you can sort of boss rush them, but you have to actually have the right trinkets equipped. Mm-hmm. Once you actually go ahead and beat a boss, you actually have to, when you go to a sort of a spark, you have to actually climb up a tower. And that's interesting. You have to burrow in and then launch yourself up, and it's sort of like you're rappelling off like a building going up, and you have to avoid all these enemies, and then if you sort of, there's like electricity that's going behind you, and if you get hit by electricity, it just takes you back. You don't lose any health, so you can go as many times as you want, but it's just sort of a nice thing to just to finish off when you actually complete a level. This game is fun. Had a blast with it, but I do understand why people. I've seen people online they just did not gel with it. You know, get the vibe, and I can understand. It is very off-putting when you first play. Like, ideally, I would like to say, keep going at it, because it's a case where with the bone system, like that's where they get annoyed for mostly because like you lose your bones. I'll just say there is a point where bones become, you sort of maxed out, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, you just got to keep going at it, and then you will be at the maximum as you can be.
Right. It sounds sort of like say Bloodborne or Sekiro, where there's a pretty high floor right at the very start.
Yep.
And then as soon as you get a few things, as soon as you get a tiny bit of like flexibility, wiggle room, as soon as resources start to matter just a little bit less and are a little less critical, it like settles into something more comfortable.
Exactly. I will say one good thing with this game is that it has all these difficulty modifiers that you can change up. So you can have it like you don't lose bones, you get increased health, increased damage to bosses. You know, you can sort of you don't fall into holes as easily. So I do appreciate that. But no, I've just really had a fun time. It's just because it was like Link's Awakening, one of my favorite games. I just really gel with it. I will say I'll give one tip for new players. If you see a mirror, don't just look at it, walk into it. That's one thing that I think that's one criticism I have, is that some of the little bit things that don't explain itself quite rightly. You sort of have to experiment with a lot of things, but just some instances was just like, what am I supposed to do? It's only, honestly enough, it was only watching another reviewer mention that, and it's like, oh, okay, now I know what I have to do with the mirror. So yeah, I'll just say, if you are playing it, if you see a mirror, go into it, you'll understand what it is. But yes, I would say, it's a great time, and I hope this helps your club with their troubles.
Here's hoping. Yeah, the industry has had quite enough layoffs this year already. So, yeah, let's keep everybody in business that we can.
So from one indie darling to another indie darling, you've been playing another game that has H in it, and it's the second one. You've been playing some Hades too.
Yeah,
Is it good?
I I promise I didn't mean for that to be a theme of this episode, but yeah, starts with H, ends with 2. That's just how we roll in June, I guess. Yes, it is very good. Hades was always my favorite of the Supergiant games. Uh, and I'm just gonna say it right now. It's an insanely high bar to clear. It's a hell of an act to follow,
Mm-hmm.
and they did. I like my assessment right here, right now, is that this is at least as good as the first one, and the first one is one of my favorite games of all time. So, uh, applause all around. Well done, Supergiant Games. Uh, if you haven't played either of these, they are isometric action roguelikes, and they are themed around Greek mythology, about trying to get out of the underworld, or into the underworld, as the case may be, here in the
Mm-hmm.
sequel. And I this had been on my very highly anticipated list for a good long while, because technically I've had the option to play this for a long time now, because there was a significant stretch where the game was finished enough that the devs were comfortable putting it out into open access with some placeholder assets while things were still getting finished. But
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hold off until it was actually finished, which actually didn't happen until only a couple of months ago, but that it was finally truly done. And speaking of finally truly done, I'm happy to say I hit credits, which doesn't mean the game is over, because if the first game is any indication, then there is much like in Star Fox 64, there is a true ending that I'm still going to
Mm-hmm.
work towards. But yeah, I hit credits about 20 minutes before we started recording, so I just managed to squeeze that in there. But yeah, getting there took me about 66 hours, and I would say I genuinely, sincerely enjoyed every single second of those. Which is not to
Nice.
say the game is easy. The game is definitely hard in places, but it's these games. Part of the real success story of the Hades franchise is that they are very good at being hard without being frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably due to a combination of very clear presentation that communicates quite well what happens and why it's happening, as well as giving you a whole bunch of tools to try and swing the odds in your favor. Because let's say you do die and you do see what's happening, and you're like, I'm not sure I have a good answer to that because I lack X or Y. There's probably a way to permanently upgrade your X or Y, because this game has about 27 different upgrade trees.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't introduce all of them at once, thank goodness. But there was a good stretch of time there where just every time I had a run, successful or not, I would come back and be like, "Oh, I can start upgrading those now. Cool. Okay, those are upgradable. What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? There's more of those? Are like, and it just keeps going, and at no point does it get overwhelming, and at no point does it feel like busy work. Thank goodness. But that willingness to be that willingness to give you permanent, irrevocable progress on some things is, I think, a big way of soothing the sting of any particular loss or death. Uh, Visually speaking, Hades continues to be absolutely beautiful. It is character portraits are all 2D. The actual gameplay is very highly stylized, cel shaded 3D,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks gorgeous while still being very clear to read. And they've gone out of the way to make sure environments and enemies feel different. There's not really any recycling or palette swapping from the first game going on. returning characters tend to be in whole new outfits or lack thereof. They found a way to make Aphrodite more naked than last time, which is kind of impressive. And in general, they also just like there are characters that return because they're sort of mechanically there's stuff that they want to bring back. Like you get boons from a lot of the Greek gods, so most of those are back again in that same capacity. But your actual your crew, as it were, the people at your home base that you talk to, are pretty much all new. I don't. The only returning ones are shades that like don't really have names and don't really have voices. They're just sort of like they fulfill a role and have a slightly distinctive design, and that's kind of it. Like
Mhm.
just the broker, who is your main shop, for example. Uh, Skipping just a bit ahead, I do love the attention to detail in this game so much, though, because one of those nameless, like voiceless shades is very distinctive because he wears red instead of green, and you're like, well, why is that familiar? What a red shade? Why do I remember that? Oh, right. In the first game, if you fight in the Colosseum, everybody's cheering for Theseus, except there was one guy, there was one little shade cheering for the player character, Zagreus,
Yeah.
and this is him now. And, like, it's just a cute little touch if you notice it. Like, this character doesn't have a name, doesn't have a voice. It's calling him a character is generous,
Mhm.
but eventually it clicks both for the player and for the people in the game that, oh, this is that guy. And I like that attention to detail for little things that don't matter in the broad strokes, but they genuinely do matter in the sense of feeling rewarding for the player. Like another example of that is I had a very memorable bit where I had gotten a boon from Poseidon, where if I get a minor reward instead of a big one, there's a chance that it'll get doubled. And then I did a little challenge where if I can clear a room without taking any damage, I'll get an actual reward. And if I do take damage, my reward is an onion that restores 1 HP.
Mm.
I failed the challenge, so I got the onion. And then the boon triggered, and they had the voice actor for Poseidon record a separate line saying, "Another onion, haha!" Purely for this tiny 1 in 1,000 playthroughs interaction of these two things overlapping with each other. And it's just, chef's kiss. I love it so much. It's gorgeous to look at, gorgeous to listen to. Darren Korb is back as musician and as voice actor. All of the voice actors from the first game are back and still doing great. The new voice actors they brought in are also very good. One of your main companions is voiced by the lady who does the narration in Baldur's Gate 3, and she does a fantastic job. Highly recommend. It's it like I knew this game was gonna be good because Supergiant games are good at what they do, and the first game was fantastic. I was pretty confident they weren't gonna fumble it, but I was worried as to like whether they could make this feel meaningful, I guess. Like if I had gotten more of the same, I would have been happy with that because the same was very enjoyable and I wouldn't mind having more. But I
Mhm.
feel like this does actually earn its place as a new story. It is. I'm not sure yet if it's better than the original, but like I said, it is at least as good, and it is distinctive enough to deserve the attention that it's gotten. It's very polished. It's very refined. I am far from done. Like I've hit credits now, like I said, but the game itself is very blatant about like there is still more to do, but that doesn't mean the climax that I got before the credits wasn't a narratively satisfying conclusion already.
Mhm.
Like they've gotten very, very good at threading that particular needle. And I feel like there is a joke I could be making here about needles and weaving of the fates because we're doing a whole bunch of that this time around. But I will remind our audience that it's in the high 30s at the moment, and my brain isn't working at 100%. But it's just, it's slick, it's tight, it's incredibly satisfying. It is gentle with its learning curve, but never stops being challenging higher up, especially once you start getting the options to make it harder for yourself if you want, for increased rewards. And there is actually a moment of satisfaction where you realize you probably should start doing that, because I hit a point where I sort of had like 5 successful runs in a row, and I realized I'm having fun, but that's not how I spent the first 30 hours, and I feel like I want to experience some of that push-pull dynamic again. I want that tension of not being certain if I can pull one out of the bag. And that's when you start adding on your own, like, optional difficulty modifiers. And I feel as though it doesn't really bear... I feel as though I don't need to say it. Like, hey, one of the best games ever made got another one, and it is also one of the best games ever made. Film at 11, big news.
Yeah.
But it's that is taking for granted how talented the people are who made this game and how hard they worked to make this game. So I do really want to give everybody their due props. It is a titanic achievement, pun intended. And I'm still going to be playing this for at least another 60 hours, if not more so. I'm just so glad to be back here again. Like, it feels... Spoilers. We're gonna finish this recording, I'm gonna have lunch, and then I'm just gonna play more of it again.
That's the best recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, that's going to do it for this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I am being your host, Scott. Thank you, Sesfos, for joining me.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here as always.
Fantastic. And we will catch up with you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us get noticed. You can also listen and subscribe on other podcast services such as Spotify. Make sure to check our other show, Unfocused. Be sure to join our Discord server to interact with the lively GamePodular community. Follow us on Mastodon, Blue Sky, YouTube, Twitch, and at GamePodular.com for updates, news, and other content. Links are in the show notes. If you would like to support our shows, you can buy us a coffee or become a GamePodular Patreon. The details for both are on our website. This episode was edited by myself, and you can follow me on Blue Sky at ScottyJman. You can follow Seskra at Seskra the Spider at bsky.social, albeit at your own risk. Thanks for listening.